Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Z and you're watching Dr. Z PhD, the place to be for expert info on gender. Now in my practice, I tend to see many people who are in a relationship when they decide to transition. And one of the biggest fears they face by coming out to their partners is losing or ending their relationship, which is a very realistic and a normal fear to have. So in this video, I'd like to share with you 4 important tips to think about coming out prior to coming out to your partners that can hopefully help you with this process. Make sure to also subscribe to my channel so that way you don't miss any new content coming from me. Now let's discuss important things to consider prior to coming out to your partner. So let's say maybe you're in a short or long-term relationship or maybe married. So tip number 1, do stop watching internet accounts of people coming out and losing their relationship or their partner. Stop, just stop. Firstly, acknowledge that every relationship is incredibly different. Watching others tell their accounts will only feed into your fear and will magnify it to the point of paralyzing you. Believe me when I say this, I see relationships make it through transition all the time. Not every couple ends up breaking up. And so that's really important to acknowledge here. Many factors go into making relationship work, including the status of relationship prior to transition. Many people don't want to acknowledge that their relationship already on the brink of breakup prior to transition, and that's really sad, and that's the problem here. So the stronger your relationship is prior to transition, and the more emotional traction the two of you have, the better off your chances of staying together. So stop watching others' life or others' accounts of life, look at your own, and consider where your relationship is at. Now, be honest with yourself, which is really hard to do for most of us, but I think you owe yourself this much. Tip number 2, seek honesty and not permission. And let me explain, I do believe, and this is my opinion, that honesty is a crucible of relationship. Honesty creates and builds trust. So it's important for you to remind yourself that by coming out, you're being honest with your own truth to your partner. You're not seeking permission, which is a very big difference here. Many partners confuse the two and believe that their other half needs to give them permission to be who they are. You're not coming out to your partner to have their permission. You're coming out because you are being honest not only with yourself, but also with your loved ones. Listen, there is a big difference between sharing finances, for example, right? And wanting to buy, expensive car or maybe expensive purse and discussing this with your partner, hence permission, versus having a medical condition that requires medical and surgical treatment and attention. Now, let me ask you this. Would you ask your partner permission to undergo chemotherapy if you had cancer? Probably not, right? Why? So why are you asking permission here? Which is very big difference here because you're really putting a lot of weight on your partner in order to give you a green light to live your life. And I understand that feelings of guilt have a lot to do with this here, but your partner shouldn't be put in a position to give you a green light again on your own life. You should be able to do that for yourself. So remember, seek honesty and not permission, which brings me to number 3, the importance of honesty in of itself. Let me just say that there is a big difference between some people who are not very fully conscious of their gender identity. And maybe they think that they're trans, but not really sure. Maybe they truly believe that they're going through the phase that will eventually go away, versus a person that really knows where they stand in relationship to their gender. And they're actually thinking about it, thinking about transition, maybe they're fantasizing about their life in opposite gender. So if you are one of those people, and if you truly know on some level that you are trans, and you're not coming out to your partner out of fear of losing them, then I'm going to have to call you out on this one and say that that's not okay. I know the fear is keeping you from being honest. I completely understand it, but you're not alone. You are in a relationship. And your partner believes they are in a relationship with the gender you present to be. Their whole world, including their sexuality as well as their ideas of relationship, is closely tied to gender. For most people, at least, it is. And prolonging non-disclosure out of fear of really losing them is not okay, and it's not fair to your partner. So in this case, you are being dishonest. Again, I know the fear is holding you from coming out, and I completely understand that. But wouldn't you want your partner to be honest with you if they were in the same shoes? I would hope so. How would you feel if your partner kept this kind of information from you, this truth from you, for a year, 2 years, or even 3 years? So if you know your gender identity, there is only one way, and that's to be honest with yourself and honest with your partner. And that brings me to tip number 4. Give yourself and your partner time to adjust once you do come out. This one is incredibly important because while you may have deep understanding and relationship to your gender, mostly every cisgender person takes it for granted. And if your partner is actually cisgender, chances are they take it for granted too, which means they may not really fully understand what you're going through. They may have some preconceived ideas of what that means, but they may not, and it may be overall very confusing for them, including they may be dealing with their own internalized transphobia that will add things to the mix. They may have a strong reaction and tell you they feel betrayed, in which case, please note that feeling betrayed and actually being betrayed are two very different things. Often, when we use words to describe a feeling, not an act. That's important to keep in mind here. And it's very important here because you may feel tremendous amount of guilt and shame as a result. So please remind yourself that they are feeling a sense of betrayal, not an act itself, because of course you haven't betrayed anybody. In these instances, it is really important to get support of a therapist or preferably a therapist experienced working with gender diverse couples. Because knowledge is very important here. Sometimes after talking to a partner and explaining gender dysphoria as a medical condition, I see their empathy tends to grow. As a result, they get a better sense of how much it matters to you, and so they get a better understanding. Also, when I discuss shifting paradigm of sexuality, I see people anger tends to go away. So it's really important talking to a therapist or somebody can really help partner gain a better understanding. Or have your partner even present with you at your HRT appointment so they can get a better understanding of gender dysphoria as a medical condition from a doctor point of view. That can also help a lot and clarify a lot of things. In any case, giving partner space is appropriate and a right thing to do. So there you go, my 4 essential tips to think about prior to coming out to your partner. What about you? If you were in the shoes, how did you actually come out? How did you handle it? Would you do anything different? Comment below. And if you're new to this channel, also consider subscribing. And I'll see you all next Friday. Bye.